Are you feeling lost in life? Because most people are. Most people are adrift. We don't know exactly what direction we're going in because since school, the blueprint, the scaffolding has fallen. But it's bigger than that. It's more than that. And we all feel it. There's something strange going on. We no longer have the shared story of what is a good life. That is why when you look up on Netflix and you look at all these documentaries and these like house showings and these like lifestyle things and these influencers, that all of them are saying like, this is what a good life looks like. And we're exploring that territory. That's what we're doing as a culture at the moment. So today's video, if you are looking for meaning and purpose in life, there's two things I want to run through. One, I've done it before. The two questions. What would you care to exist in the world if you didn't? This can be family. This can be just love itself. This can be community. This can be sports and competition. This can be acceptance and fairness in politics or all of this. I'm going to cheekily say here, look up a list of the virtues you will very easily find. All of them attract you, but some will attract you more than others on any given day. So 1, what would you care to exist if you didn't? 2, how are you contributing to it? If you have a solid answer for those two, you will have a felt sense of what is meaningful in life. Now that fit into 1 minute of a video here. You need to spend more than a minute thinking through that idea. But I'm not here to think through it with you. I'm simply here to give you the tool so that you can then go off afterwards, away from the screen, away from the intake of information to a place where you then process information, wherever that is. So, second idea I want to bring to you today for meaning and purpose in life is to treat life like a video game. I do not mean this cheaply. I mean there are 3 key components to what a video game is. 1, it has a very clear sense of story. The myth, the lore, the characters, the purpose of the whole game, the story, is laid out on a platter. It's made to be that. The game is that. So, do you know your story? Have you spent time laying out the chapters in your story? What is going to be the first chapter, the first town you land in when you're setting up your character? Will it be that you go off to college and that you focus on education and you focus on harnessing whatever skill or tool it is that you have? Chapter number 1. Chapter number 2, finding the friends along the way, but like really finding them then and really like saying like, okay, after college, where are we landing? How are we coming together? What reason do we have for coming together? During college, we did it for this reason because that was the chapter, but now we're in a new chapter. How are we doing it? Taking that chapter seriously is important. Chapter 3 might be the community at large. What town are you going to settle in? Where will you find the people beyond the inner circle that you vibe with, that you gel with, that you're okay with, that you like the feel of the town, you like how they go about the place for whatever reason? How do you figure that in? And importantly, how does your career fit into it? How do your friends fit into it? Chapter number 4, finding a partner, finding a romantic interest, finding something that you love. This might be romance, but it might also be a hobby, a passion project, something that just sparks you, that when you talk about it, you light up. Figuring that out. How does your community support you in that? Does it bring you towards something like that? How do your friends support you? Do they knock you down because they're over competitive, or do they bring you up and put more challenges in front of you? And is that good or bad? And your career, is it along the same lines, or is it a totally different direction? Or how does your career engage with your relationship? If it's a romantic relationship, how does that affect? Are you able to make time? If you're a doctor, that's going to be hard. Okay, once you have all of that, then what's the next chapter? Maybe having kids. Maybe having a legacy just into the town itself, as in like the next generation in the town, or the town as like a business or infrastructure. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's like, the neighboring town, how to commune and how to bring people together and expand the circle that way. Whatever that is, This is your story. I'm just giving you a blueprint. So, have you done that? Most of us haven't. I didn't do that until I was well into my 20s. But it does give. It's really hard to know if you're doing well or doing poorly in life if you don't know where you're going in life, if you don't know the map, and you don't know that the community comes after friends. Like, why don't I have all of this like business opportunity available to me? Like all of these other people, they like know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and then they get all of this stuff. It's like, yeah, cool, but that's their life. That's not my story. My story, I'm focusing on friends first. Because for me, friends come first. For someone else, community is going to come first. I get it. So again, laying out your map and walking through it and knowing that like during college, community isn't it. Because you're going to move again. When you're building up your friends, again, community, maybe or maybe relationships won't be it. Like, you know, push that to the side. Don't let the romance stuff get in the way of friendship. Whatever. But I mean to say, just lay out the map as you want to see it and recognize that each chapter has its own motif and that each chapter has its own place. And if you jump ahead a chapter, it's you that's messing with the map. It's not the world making it difficult and all of this stuff. But for the love of something higher, figure out your story. Lay it out like a map, like you would in a video game. What's the first town? What's the second town? What does each town specialize in? Number 2, what does leveling up feel like? What does it look like? How do you know if you're leveling up? In a video game, it is clear. You get a number, you get an experience bar, you get the equipment that levels up as well, and you get the resources that level up, and you get more resources more quickly, or like whatever it is. But your video game has a very clear and felt sense of what it is to level up. And if you think about it, it'll make perfect sense as well. But in real life, it's really hard to know. It's hard to know when you're getting better at your skill, when you're getting better at your craft. If you're a musician or something like that, when are you getting better? If you're an artist, like how is it getting better? So, is your routine getting better? Is the structure around you, the friends, family, community, is that starting to develop, get better? Is your health starting to get better? Are you thinking at its peak? Are you chasing that star, that gem of peak cognitive ability or flexibility? Are you leveling up the resources around you? I'm going to say that the dialogos practice, the communication workshops that I do every week for free online and offer it to you every time, I think that is the best way to level up. And I say this because, again, the virtues are the thing that draws forward, and as you come to relate to them, you get a felt sense of them better, and then you better know when to be authentic and when to be humble, when to listen to yourself, when to listen to the world, when to push, when to pull. So that's my cheeky little advertisement there, an invitation to you to come along, message me, it's no prob. I think it's really good. But coming back to the point of the video, what does it feel like to level up? What is your felt sense of what it is to level up? Look back into the past, but like you need something that like is alive at the moment. Some sort of practice. You go to this workshop, you go to this class, you go to something, and every week you go back to it and it gets easier, it gets better, you become more fluent, you become more artistic, you become more whatever, and you get a felt sense that you are leveling up. So, what's your story? What does it feel like to level up? Third, last one. A video game puts you exactly at the point where the difficulty meets your tolerance for difficulty. So when you go through the levels and you get the big bosses and you slay the boss and you keep going and going, and eventually you get to a wall, someplace where it gets too difficult. Now, there's two things you can do here. One, you can try and like find the elegance, you can try and find the ballet of whatever it is to overcome the boss. Okay, they have like a certain trick, they have a certain thing. Okay, if I just desperately try and spam this move, okay, well then I can overcome the boss maybe, but it will take talent. It'll take me a couple of attempts to try that. And maybe I get through it and then I hit another wall and it's like, dear Lord, this is getting tough. So maybe my tolerance for difficulty, not that high. So maybe at that point, I pull back. I go back to a previous level. I slay all the smaller monsters and I level up my equipment and I level up my character. And then I go beat the big bad boss again and I slay the boss. And I win because what I've done there is I have recognized my tolerance for difficulty. And I lean into it or pull back from it accordingly. And I can do it within the rules, within the blueprint of the game, and it makes total sense. It doesn't. I never like failed and just been like, I'm useless. I give up on the game. I need to get a different game or something like that. No, there's going to be some way that the game invites you to stay in the world, where you can train up, you can level up, you can do something else, and then come back to the big main quest, whatever that is. So, in your life, are you at that point where the difficulty of the challenge ahead of you meets your tolerance for difficulty? For this, you have to have story, otherwise you don't know what the challenge is. For this, you have to have a sense of what it is to level up, because otherwise going back to level up won't make sense. It won't feel like an option to you. But more practically, the challenge is in front of you. If it's a big challenge, break it down into smaller chunks. Reduce the difficulty level by making it smaller. But also increase your tolerance for difficulty. And you can do this through spiritual practices, artistic practices, social practices. It can just be socializing with friends, talking to friends, having someone to soundboard your problems with, whatever that is. But any of these practices, habits, routines, to raise your tolerance for difficulty. All of this will work. But the important part is that you, when you are challenging life, when you are in the challenge of life, whatever your life purpose is, your life mission, whatever the adventure you're on is, that you are at that point where the difficulty of the challenge meets your tolerance for difficulty. Now, once you have a gist of all the tools available to you for raising and lowering your tolerance, raising and lowering the challenge in front of you, the question then is, do you have the routine? Do you have the discipline? Do you have the family, the friends, the community, everything, the whole support network of yourself and outside of you that holds you at that point of difficulty and tolerance for difficulty? Because some days you're going to feel overly ambitious, overly kind of confident, and you're going to set the challenge bar way too high, and you're going to fail, and then you're going to burn out, and then you're going to be tired. Or you're going to feel a little bit lazy, not going to do it today, and you set the challenge a little bit too low, and then you stop caring about it, and then it even gets forgotten about. It doesn't even get done, even though it was even easier than you were able to do. So, ask yourself, do you keep yourself and do the people around you keep you at the point where the difficulty of the challenge meets your tolerance for difficulty? That is what it is to treat life like a video game. That is what it is to find meaning and purpose in life. Know your story. Whatever the story is, it doesn't have to be the story of all stories. It has to be your story. So what is your craft? What is your skill? What is your place, your dharma, as the Buddhists would say? What does it feel like to level up? How do you get closer to the next milestone, the next chapter, the next end goal? Not the end goal, but the next chapter, and give it its proper place. What does it feel like to level up towards that? Third, are you at the difficulty level that engages you fully, where the difficulty of the challenge matches your tolerance for difficulty? If you have these three, you have an adventure, and you will be a supremely powerful person in the world, because everyone is looking for adventure. Everyone is floating around wondering where the adventure is. There are so many problems in the world, and yet we don't know how to tackle them. We don't know where the true value is. We don't know the right direction. We don't know the real way to go, which again is why all of these influencers, all of these documentaries, all of these movies are all describing what a good life looks like. Dear Lord, when do we become so mindful? We're looking for answers. We're looking for an adventure. We're looking to add value to the world. So find your adventure, find your story, figure out how it feels to level up, and then set the difficulty level at the proper level. With that, I hope you've had a good week. I hope you're looking forward to the week to come, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.